Yo!
Yayo Talk Show!
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Molly.
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Marco.
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Katie.
Dreamin'!
Al's name didn't fit. They talk about the show, this group of four friends been going for 1,000,000 years, there's no end. Watching every arc and saga, no sleep. It's the king of anime, 1,000 episodes deep.
Yayo Talk Show!
Talking about One Piece.
It's the name of the podcast.
We're not on Vine. Yayo Talk Show. Talking about
One Piece.
What's up, wenches, privateers, and non-binary buccaneers? Welcome aboard the most chaotic One Piece podcast on the grand Lineternet. On the eve of the 3-year anniversary of Yayo Talk Show, the crew of the Rudy's Revenge has reached the goal that we set out to achieve as friends, which was to guide a first-time reader through the perilous seas of one of the greatest stories ever told. In those 3 years, this friendship has only gotten stronger. A true anchor, and I don't want to speak for everyone else, but at least for me in my life. I can imagine where my life would be without these 3 amazing people in it, and I can't wait to see what shenanigans we get up to now. Today it marks the end of a huge chapter in the story of this show. But for us, our friendship, our story, is just beginning. So let's talk about the silly pirate comic, eh? Let me introduce you to the Chrono Pirates. It's the captain of the Chrono Pirates, Molly D. Simpy.
You two are an anchor in my life.
She's a genius. Oh no! And our favorite wild theorist, KDIN Jensen.
Oh no, my emotions!
And the Laughborg, Al McClellan.
I go by Cryborg now.
And I'm the internet's gentleman, Mark B. Donica. The B stands for blubbering, because we crying in this Applebee's tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. Here we are. We're at the point that we wanted to reach when we started off on this journey.
We've reached that unreachable height of One Piece knowledge.
Exactly. Everybody gets bonus points.
It was reachable.
Hooray!
It was reachable.
It was reachable.
It was fine.
reachable.
It's whatever.
I read this story twice every year since it came out. It's doable. We just made Kate
Molly's
slow
been
down.
running laps around us this entire time.
Truly. On your left.
So I streamed today. And one of the biggest things that I said was I could have been done within a few weeks.
Yeah.
I could have been done very easily within a few weeks of this. And right at Marineford, I got hard stopped by
what you did.
I'd like to say it was multiple people who stopped me. Because in reality it was all 3 of you coming together. But in reality, it was one Molly D. Simpy, because I skipped her husbands. I skipped her husbands because I was so focused on everything else that I was told to slow down. And honestly, I'm glad that I slowed down for the sake of the show. Personally, I really would have liked to do it a long time ago. It's like, wow, it's taking you a long time to catch up. It's like, shut up. Listen to me. I wanted to
Listen to Yayo Talk Show.
but yeah, then otherwise, like, you're not going to listen to Yayo Talk Show.
You did this to yourself.
I did not.
I also
A
think
3-day weekend, dead silent, binging one of the biggest battles in
you
One Piece
skipped the
history.
pineapple lore, Kaden.
It's fine.
Look what you did.
That's fine.
Look what
That's
you
fine.
did.
It's
You
fine.
skipped
I-
pineapple and went straight to donut.
But you did it.
It's true.
though.
It's true. It's true.
Wow.
It's true.
That was a lot, Al. So here we are. We don't know where the story's gonna go. We have an idea, but ultimately
We have an idea. We have a couple ideas.
we have a couple ideas, and that's gonna be for port predictions. But
Hey, you're gonna hear a lot more of that in the future.
at the top of the show, I do want to say this will kind of be the last episode of a regular drip of recapping story. We've said it before, and we'll say it again. We are not going week to week. We are not going whatever. We are figuring out what way to best utilize our regular schedule for One Piece content, as well as something else that we've been working on for a very long time, that if you follow us across our various social media platforms, you can find out more information on. I don't want to talk about it too much right now because who knows where it's going to end up. Yeah. So here at the top, in terms of a multi-hour, well, there are probably episodes that are multi-hour, but in terms of cramming a whole bunch of story into one big episode, that's probably what we're going to do, honestly, from here on out. So in terms of like regular story drip content, we'll try to figure out other ways to do it and talk about it, like as stuff happens. But considering Oda's schedule is in his own hands, I was going to say inconsistent, but it's his choice on when he needs to take breaks and such.
Let's start with that. With that. Because I want to bring something up, because I think it's important, because people tend to forget this stuff, or it gets pushed to the wayside, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. When Oda announced that there was going to be a 3-week break, immediately everybody's like, well, how's your health? How's your health? How's your health? Because of several different things that have happened in the last couple of years. But notably, the passing of Akira Toriyama very recently was one of those things that brought everything to everybody's attention again, that a lot of these mangaka, these authors and artists who are the proponents of a lot of these long-standing series, one, they're not that old. But two, they have a lot of consistent health issues because they are frequently overworked. So the fact that Oda is taking a 3 weeks break, immediately we raised a red flag for everybody, and Oda had to make immediately an announcement of, no, I'm okay. I just want to take some time. Both comes from time for thinking about the future of One Piece and also thinking about himself.
The last time that he took a long break like this was his eye surgery he had last year, and then the weeks leading up to that was all of the live action One Piece events that were happening in the summertime. So it's like,
it's one of those things that he's taking a break, but he's not taking a break. He's taking a break from the manga to work on other stuff. In this case, he's actually taking a break. Mm-hmm. Which is good, which is great. You'll love to see it. Please take breaks. I mean, for the love of all that is good, take a break.
The work of like every mangaka might be immortal, but the mangaka is not.
Yeah.
So making sure that they're taking care of themselves is extremely important.
And
every break is worth taking.
And that's lesson worth learning at the top of this is if you're doing nothing sometimes but you're feeling stressed, you can still relax and take time for yourself, and you should, because otherwise bad. Okay, so just take a break, relax. And I think that this actually gives us a great opportunity as Yayo Talk Show to really figure out how we're going to move forward with how we're going to do this week to week stuff, which is that we're not going to first and foremost, but the idea of, hey, let's let things amass for a couple weeks, and then we'll take a couple chapters together, bundle them together, and talk about them as a thing. But it also lets us flex creatively with the rest of the show, with things like, with port predictions and the game shows and other things that we've been coming
honestly
up with and
been wanting to do and kind of like we need for Caden's sake, in the sense of like we've been keeping her from reading certain things for so long. It's like let's try to get through a little bit more story before we do like another movie or another this or another that.
So there are definitely things that I'm excited to do now that we are caught up. But it's important to know that sometimes breaks are necessary, and Oda taking breaks is good. it will mess with schedules for like how we do things in the future for the core podcast content, but that's still ultimately good for the health of everybody connected to One Piece who uses One Piece as a way to flex creatively or in their own business or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a good thing. And Oda taking a break means you get to take a break.
And you get to take a break. And you get to take a break. And you get to take... Everybody take a break. It's... me personally, I like when Oda goes on a break because that also means like, oh, I can get a bunch of stuff done. Like I'm at a point right now in terms of like doing like backstage stuff for us and like production stuff for us where I'm like I'm almost caught up doing video episodes, which is insane.
Really cool. That's really cool.
It's been a year of work doing video episodes and it's almost getting to a point where I just have to do one at a time. And it's
which is really cool.
Wild. But yeah. We're going to talk more in Discord and on our various social channels and our streams, more than likely, of what exactly is we're working on next. And again, when this episode comes out, the show's anniversary is going to be next week, and you definitely want to be subscribed on. You definitely want to be subscribed for what's going to happen.
You should be here. You should be here. We want you to be here.
And
you want to be.
No.
Yeah, I was about to say no. 51 episodes?
This is 51 numbered episodes, but I think 61.
Listen, if you've
total.
sat through 51 episodes, you're part of the ship, part of the crew now. Like, sorry, you'll have to scrape your barnacled body off of the ship to get off of it at this point.
Oh, what a terrible thing to have to transition from. Hey, let's talk about the Native Cleansing Festival on God Valley.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. So
that's not exactly the first thing that happens. We dive into Kuma's backstory, and we finally learn about this big mysterious bear man that has been a part of One Piece since very early on, and somebody that set our crew on the path that it's been writing out for the past 2 years in story.
Yep.
And we learn about a new race of people on the One Piece planet, those with Buccaneer blood, of which Kuma is, and according to those in power, there are people that have committed a grave sin in some way, shape, or form, filthy blood that needs to be eradicated from the world. If you didn't know by now that the world government were the bad guys...
Yeah, if you didn't realize that they were evil, like, frickin' through and through, if you're just like, actually, some of them is... Hey, man, ACAB, okay? Like,
hey,
if
that guy's hair
with
looks like a moon. That's pretty cool to me.
They straight up were like, these people are stinky, and you're not allowed to talk to them.
It's just colonizer con, and it's terrible. I hate it here.
So... One of the things that I like and don't like about this God Valley backstory is we still don't technically have all of the information. Mm-hmm. We have some, and I don't like it. Everything was set up to a point where we go, oh, okay, well, we know we have the basics of the rest of this. And to put it, because there's so much information, I'm gonna try to go quick, and somebody stop me if you want to talk about it. There is a native cleansing festival put on by, that is the worst thing in the world, by the Celestial Dragons, where the prizes of which are the blue dragon fruit that Kaido ends up possessing, and the pawpaw fruit which Kuma ends up getting, and it's just a big execution of the native peoples of God Valley in the West Blue.
Yeah,
they're literally competing for prizes, killing the inhabitants of an island,
hunting people for sport, and this is also the place where Kuma meets Ginny his future wife and mother of Bonnie, and Ivankov, and sort of that seed of rebellion. Like Kuma, we get the feeling that he's always been a nice boy and always been sort of a, oh well, it's no big deal. I said this before we started recording, and I'll say it on air too. Man, I relate a little bit too much to Bartholomew Kuma.
Kuma is, and here's what I'm gonna say. I called it early on about Kuma. I talked about it, I was like, there is something here that just is not adding up. This dude is legitimately, like, in his own way, saving people, but it just feels like he's following orders, but like it doesn't feel like he's following the orders to the letter. He's been doing these things just so, with like some
skating.
Yeah, like a lot of like running in the background thought processes. Like we've seen him like just like, well, you're a full robot now, but he still doesn't do the exact same things as the pacifistas. The pacifistas are pretty much like, we do all the things that we're told, yada yada yada. But Kuma, core Kuma, main Kuma, didn't
Kuma.
actually like fully like listen to everything the way he was supposed to. And one of the big takeaways here that we learn very early on is that like Bonnie is not Kuma's biological daughter. It is Kuma's adopted daughter. Like, and that kind of came out of, that's something that I wasn't expecting. It's like, I was just expecting blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, no. This is an adoption kind of thing because Ginny was kidnapped after a while. And that was like, that kind of like threw my brain into a theory mode for some stuff. But we'll talk about that later. But I thought that was a pretty big, like, what moment for me. But like seeing Kuma go from like, oh, I love my dad. My dad is great. He's doing all these things. And then like him having to carry all of this weight by himself then.
Well,
and then like meeting Ivankov and Ginny as just like he got a family out of it. Like they didn't hang out all the time. I mean, Kuma and Ginny did, but like he met a bunch of people who he would consider familial. And he's such a soft dude. Like he's so nice.
Hey, KDIN.
Yeah, what's up?
Good news. On top of being caught up, you know what else you have access to now?
What's that?
The One Piece wiki.
Oh, great.
And just so that and so that everybody is on the same page, it is pronounced Ginny.
Ginny.
Yeah.
Like as in the alcohol.
Yeah. Like the romanized name is Jini.
So not like the monetary. It's like the
like the alcohol is the easiest way to put it.
So not the money, but the alcohol. Interesting.
Yes.
The first time I'm corrected on pronunciation.
Well, also like the card game.
Oh yeah,
Gin Rummy.
Hmm?
I mean, Ginny Rum.
Ginny from the block. Al, you sounded like
no,
you were,
that's not the title of this episode.
It's not. It's not. It could definitely be something else.
I mean, it would be funny, but also like.
But speaking of Kuma carrying burdens, that's kind of been his MO since he got the pawpaw fruit, is like carrying the burdens of his like fellow citizens when they're being literally tortured by their asshole king. Like he takes their pain and then keeps it to himself and like has to recover from it this is the kind of person Kuma is, like foundationally, is that he wants to help other people and he doesn't care about the cost for himself.
Yeah.
Which is like a really cool way to be, but also, come on, Kuma. Don't let that happen all the time.
But it speaks to the hardiness of Buccaneer blood, which we still don't know that much about, but to the point where, and this is me skipping around a little bit, of course, where Vegapunk was like, if you give me a little bit of your blood to experiment with, all medical costs are waived. Which any doctor, that's a big ask.
It's also
but yeah,
very suspicious.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, Vegapunk this whole time has been nothing but suspicious. And ultimately, there's some sort of a scientific breakthrough that's at the core of all of the decisions that he makes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best decision to be made. Rereading this section, seeing when Ginny and Kuma are growing up, and Ginny essentially just sings the Winnie the Pooh theme song, but inserts Kumachi in there instead of Winnie. I was like, oh no, this got even more wholesome than I remember.
Well, and also just seeing more of like Kuma's expression with the glasses instead of the glass sheen and no hat.
Seeing a character's eyes does a huge thing for being able to understand the type of person that they are. And there's a reason why, I mean, Oda's notorious for not showing us the face or eyes of a character until he wants us to see their true nature.
And also he figures out what they're supposed to do.
And also by the time he figures it out.
You gotta add that in there, because as much as everybody wants to believe that Oda has had this all planned out from the beginning for a lot of things, I guarantee you a lot of like little notes have been. But sometimes, especially in a long-running series like this, sometimes you're just like, well, this sounds neat. Boop. And then there it is.
Also, wasn't one of his tweets about taking the break? Like, I should probably figure out what the One Piece is.
Gotta figure out what the One Piece is real quick. Be right back.
I'm gonna be real. He probably has no idea what the One Piece is.
He probably had an idea of what it was. Sorry, Molly.
Well, it's just like also knowing this is the same guy who has the last chapter of this entire story planned out, and he's like, I just want to get to that last chapter because it's gonna be so cool. But the fact that he's like, I know how it's gonna end, LOL. But what is the
What's the thing?
He's also said in like other interviews that if Buggy would get off his ass, like he would be the one for sure to get the One Piece, but he's so lazy, and so it's just like, ah, man, whatever it is, it's gonna be hilarious.
He's got like a full panel page spread that just says TBD on it,
or that says 1 week break on it. But I mean, that going off of that, Molly, the fact that Buggy is actually getting off of his ass, is sort of an indicator of like, oh man, we really are getting to the end, aren't we?
Which is why I'm like, again, it's like somebody, we've talked about Buggy a little bit, but like somebody who's so clearly tried to walk in the same footsteps as Roger now being like, we're going to do it. We're going to get the One Piece. And it's like, I bet he will. Like, will Buggy become the Pirate King by like failing upwards? That would be funny. And Luffy would be pissed about it, but like not unforeseeable at this point.
I'm telling you, this we'll talk about this more on in the port predictions. My brain is just thinking theory. But I talked about this a long time ago, but Luffy is almost constantly frequently dressed in red, and Buggy has been predominantly the blue. I really do think that this is going to be the culmination of things, is Buggy and Luffy, who have worked together multiple times at this point and really don't harbor any ill will towards each other, period, at this point. Like, they don't. Like, they've gotten past that a long time ago.
Luffy
if it comes... I mean, Luffy doesn't care. Luffy's like...
That's what I'm saying, but like Buggy is the first one to be like, blah, 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 straw hat, blah, blah,
but
blah,
here's
blah.
the thing. If Buggy does know one thing, and if Buggy needs Luffy, Buggy knows Luffy will help. So in the end of things, I really do think that Buggy and Luffy will probably get the One Piece and be just like, it's going to need to be both of them for whatever reasons. It's going to need to be both of them. they're gonna be right there. It's gonna happen. What the One Piece is doesn't matter, but they're gonna be there together.
It's like a really cool Hercules beetle, like a really cool one. And
It's also wild that we saw Shanks' dad in these chapters.
I hated it.
His blood father. I don't want to say dad. It's his blood father. Rogers was his dad. But
Bloodfather is
Mac
such
at
a
night or whatever.
metal way. Yeah, Mac tonight.
Mac tonight.
Life,
That's
yeah,
right.
Mac
life
tonight.
donor. Life
Mac-
donor.
Life Toner. That's a good one too. Mac tonight, but tonight is spelled TOKNIGHT.
Ew.
He commits war crimes.
It was really weird, but very cool to see the spread of the Rocks Pirates show up in God Valley.
Yeah.
And seeing Shiki there was that weird thing of, yes, Shiki is canon and has been canon, but then the Strong World isn't necessarily canon. But just seeing Shiki again in its own right brought back a whole bunch of different memories of like Banana Hat Fart Shoes. Seeing Molly, I want to ask you, how many of these people do you think Oda remembered to draw hot?
I think all of them? I'm scrolling to find the panel just for confirmation's sake, but
Well, just because like everybody in this flashback is the Roger Pirates, it's Garp, it's Kong, and it's the Rocks Pirates.
yeah. I'm like, sorry, I had a different chapter open. Now I'm trying to remember which chapter it was because I do want to see it.
It was early on. I think it was like 97 or 98, 1097, 1098.
I think it might be 96. Hang on, I'm scrolling.
Okay. While she's looking at that, the absolute heartbreak of the scene of Kuma finding out that it will all be over by Bonnie's 10th birthday, and Bonnie being, yay, it'll be all over by my 10th birthday.
That was heartbreaking.
Just the worst.
I don't like that.
It's pretty
I
bad.
don't like that.
There's so much within this past arc, a lot, like also just throughout her whole existence as a character. Like there's always been something affable about Bonnie, but then like getting to truly see her growing up and seeing her as a kid, just like,
Man, I'm not okay with Bonnie's story. I'm not okay with it. I'm not.
Really?
I'm not okay with it. This, like, watching Kuma go through everything and then seeing Bonnie have to, like, basically be watched over by a government spy.
It's
for
pretty
the-
messed up.
I hated
All of it
that
is
woman.
so messed up. It's so screwed in every sense. And it's frustrating because, like, it's one of those situations where as a reader, as a viewer, this is definitely one of those situations where you're just like, oh my God, please somebody notice. Please somebody notice. Like, and you're begging the rest of the narrative to learn and understand. And when the little old lady is just like, oh yeah, no, they were talking in the bar. I don't know why Midwestern. Feel like Molly's rubbing off on me.
Oh yeah. Dear.
Oh yeah.
How are ya?
Hey. Oh hey, hon. Yeah, she's definitely working for the world government there. You gotta be careful about talking. You should probably get on out of here. Don't worry. It's like, thank God. Thank you.
That was such a journey.
So the question you asked, Mark.
Yes, I did want to get back to that. Who's hot?
He definitely drew everybody hot. It's like 2 double-page spreads with Garp, Roger, and the Rocks Pirates. And it's crazy because it's like, I remember reading this chapter and like, there's just so much happening, but I was like so annoyed. I just realized that, so like leading up to all of this backstory stuff, we find out that Stussy, the original Stussy, is the woman claiming to have had Whitebeard's son, Whitebeard Jr. And I realized in this double page spread that she's actually on Whitebeard's shoulder. And it's like, oh, maybe they were close.
Eyebrow waggle.
Also wild, the next page, that Rogers is on one side of the panel and Shanks's biological father's like on the left of it. And Shanks looks so much like Roger comparatively to his father is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean, he's got
like that.
similar facial structure of the bio donation, but like the overall style, the haircut, the like the mannerisms, the all the rest of it. It's very Roger. We're gonna come up with new names for like biological like DNA donations, like
yeah. But the funny part is that like it's also like so much of like what Buggy's aesthetic is, and I think if he wasn't hindered by the devil fruit, I'm sure he would keep his hair and style to like what Rogers's was like. Because he can't cut his hair, but they both have like scruffy faces. Like Buggy takes it a step further by wearing like makeup, but they're still very similar in terms of like Buggy wears clothes that were more in the later half of Roger's life, whereas Shanks wears clothes that are more in the half of like younger Roger's life.
Yeah. Buggy wears the like presentation show clothes and Shanks wears the work clothes.
Well, Shank wears the like hot 20s clothes with like the deep V titties out aesthetic, and then Buggy
he's dressing
wears
to swing a sword.
Yeah, but like Buggy is also like fully dressed like the like wealth, fame, power outfit.
He's dressed like a sack of potatoes with a cape.
he's well, I mean the current Buggy. I'm talking about like when we first meet Buggy, where it's like fair. You realize that he's wearing like almost like on par. Like just different colorways, basically, of the clothes that Rogers was killed in. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like when Rogers died, they split up his wardrobe and then never spoke again.
Okay, you're taking his hat. I'm taking his pants. You're going to need to part ways with that blouse because I'm calling dibs on that. It's very...
The One Piece was whatever he didn't give to them.
The One Piece is his full outfit.
It's a onesie. Feety pajamas.
It's his onesie.
They just misunderstood him.
The first thing I thought of, I don't want to say.
I have a feeling I know what you were going to say. Hey, let's talk about being sad again. Hey,
no.
I mean,
man,
like, yeah.
There's
to Caden's point earlier. Not to cut you off, Mark. I'm so sorry. But like this whole arc of following Kuma and Bonnie and Ginny and like the world of One Piece is not a world where good people get to be happy unless good people are fighting for other people to be happy. And like it hurts.
They
real
also
bad.
don't really live a long time, most of them.
Yeah. Like we're not at the critical mass point where enough people want to fight to be happy.
We're getting there, fam.
Yeah.
Like, we see all of these islands and all of these pirates, like, we see how Kuma operated as a warlord of the sea. He didn't, as far as they showed us, he didn't kill anybody that quote, didn't deserve it, like any of the people in power. If he was instructed to, like, take out this pirate crew, he would get them to a point where it's like, look, here's what needs to happen. You have to turn yourself in. I'm so sorry. And there's a lot of talk about him being a pacifist, which led to the naming of the clone robots being the pacifistas, which have done so much damage over the course of this series, which is like, you don't call anything that the government wants made a pacifist if you're not controlling it.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh no, yeah, it's supposed to pacify the bad things. You might also be one of those bad things.
Who
so says
decides what the
government.
bad things are?
Oh, the
Well,
people that run
apparently-
the Native
apparently-
Cleansing Festival?
Apparently,
Interesting.
who decides what are a bunch of giant demon old men? Which
We're not there yet.
I mean, we are because we've already seen one.
Dude,
actually,
well,
we've seen a couple. We've seen all of them, but also like we have only seen one in demon form.
Saint Garcia is because he's the science officer of the five elder planets. He is the one that we see in direct opposition of Kuma's happiness, Bonnie's happiness, and Vegapunk's happiness. In the vein of in order to like actually take the deal, because also Borsalino, Kizaru is present for a lot of the stuff that happens, which makes his story a little bit more interesting and a little bit more sad. And I want to know more about that man in particular.
Man, I'm gonna be
On
real.
site.
No,
On
it's
site.
it's on site with Kizaru.
On
Absolutely.
Kizaru.
No. I'm not saying
site.
I empathize or sympathize with him. I just want to know more about what got him to the point where he is so complicit. Because his attitude and nature they sort
Here's
of
my theory.
imply
Here's my theory.
a different type of person than he is than he performs to be for the government.
They made fun of his Elvis looking ass for so much. So he's just like, I'm evil now. Dude, he sucks. Like,
Absolutely.
there is a fundamental difference, and I feel like this is where I urge media literacy the most. Kuma did bad things for the right reasons and ultimately did what he could to get the people who he was bringing in to get away. It is very obvious in a lot of aspects that Kuma, even when listening to the world government, is not fully doing what they want. Meanwhile, people like Kizaru are just like, well, I guess I'll just have to shoot you with my giant laser beams, and then you die. Yeah. And like, even people who care about him and have been like a part of his life and like he helped raise and all those things, is like, well, I guess it's time for pew pew laser beams. It's like,
His
dude,
loyalty
you
is
suck.
very specific.
He is like either, and like you could say it's like, well, maybe he's being blackmailed or blah blah blah. It's like, but then you take a look at everything that happened to Kuma. It's like there is no excuse for the things that Kizaru has done and continues to do.
There was a line of dialogue.
Absolutely not.
He said, "I wish I had worn darker sunglasses today," and I think that was for two things. One, to
get his ass kicked and get some black eyes.
two things. Two things is one. I think he is either legitimately sad at what he has to do, but is still choosing to do. So that's still within his thing. Or so one, to hide his tears, or two, to hide his shame. And again, still he's choosing to do these things. And by the end of it, we don't know how he feels about certain things, because his last line that we see in these sets of chapters is like, Admiral Kizaru, you have to get up, and he's like, just let me rest, which makes me think, man, if I die, I don't have to decide, or I don't have to listen anymore. I don't have to make the decision. Like, again, this is all still decisions that he makes in an effort to listen, like, because he feels like he has to listen to the government, which is definitely incorrect. But the fact that the deeper he goes, the more that I want to know more about what made him make that choice and stick to it. That's it.
It's weird because it's like between the three of them, like the three original admirals that we know of, like we get like a tiny bite of like what their past was like and like how they were trained as Marines. But the choices that they make individually is kind of like, what exactly, where are your motivations coming from aside from I'm the law and I enforce the law? because we get like a bite size of like his back past in this and like terms of who he's fighting, but then like even Hadi with the pipes, like we see like the backstory of like how Garp trained him and things like that, and it's still unclear. Hi Marco. It's still unclear about Akainu's backstory of like what. I mean, obviously he feels like his sense of justice is the one that will prevail, etc., etc. But yeah, it's hard to relate to these types of characters who are still making these choices that I don't agree with.
I think Aokiji's choices are way more reasonable than Kizaru. Like Aokiji, like I understand, Molly, I understand that you're upset about I understand that you're upset about like his reasonings for this, that, and the other thing about blah 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 Garp and everything like that, and I understand. I fully understand. But him being so frustrated and then being just like, screw it, whatever, I'm gonna die anyway. Might as well throw my lot in with somebody who's probably gonna go out in a big bang. I understand that mentality. It's like, I'm going to die anyway. Might as well take some of these bitches with me. And like teaming up with one of the people who very easily will be taking a lot of these bitches out with him. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. I completely understand that thought process.
Also he sees where, specifically for Kuzan, he's like, this guy's going to be on the front line. It's going to end with this guy. I'm going to be there no matter what. And that's why ultimately I feel like he still hasn't made his like final decision on which side of the line he stands. But that's going off of what Molly said too.
He also just wants to get to where he needs to get to.
Yeah, and we'll take any means that
exactly.
he can to get there. But going off of what Molly said, like that little bit that we've seen with Kuzan is that little bit that I want to see with Borsalino.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say too, it's that like I'm thinking about it, like he left the Marines to go find something, like to like search like either like within himself or like learn about the world. And like I honestly think that the reason why Blackbeard was able to get him to like at least like linger by his side of like hanging around is that I think he dangled something in front of him in terms of like the world history or something that he's looking for in terms of information, and like to prove that he has the facts, or he's like he will take him along for the ride to get him to the part that he wants to be at, kind of thing.
So I mean,
it's like for what other motivation, right? Aside from being bitter and stupid, that like you just take out somebody like Garp who, you know, has been around like almost your entire life, kind of thing. Whereas like unless it's like I have to let Blackbeard see this through so that I can see what's going to happen, or like to XYZ kind of thing.
So there's a plan that I didn't really notice until reading through this again. Blackbeard is going to do something at the top level. So similarly to what Molly was just saying, Kuzan has a plan. Blackbeard has a plan. One way or the other, they're seeing each other through to a certain extent. And we can go back, but this was sort of a good transition into this. We see that the Blackbeard pirates that arrived earlier are Van Augur and Katarina Devon. And did anybody notice what she did? What Devon did?
Not off the top of my head.
So, as a reminder, Katarina Devon has eaten the nine-tailed fox fruit.
Yes.
And something that the nine-tailed fox can do is disguise themselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in that battle, she walked up, touched Saint Saturn, and went, "All right, we can leave now."
Oh man!
So Katarina Devon is going to use the disguise of Saint Saturn to do something. And considering where we are, and all 5 of the Elder Planets are here, and no one is by the empty throne, I feel like Blackbeard is going to make an honest-to-God attempt to sit on the throne and become the king of the world.
now would be the time to do it because they're already scattered after the revelry issues and things like that. And then, like, yeah, the top 5 guys aren't there. So
Yeah, and Blackbeard is somewhere.
Burgers and fries.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see just because we know based off like the 1-2 page panel prior that, you know, Shanks's life donor guy is on the island like as a judge. So there is like a level of security still on the island, just not the Elder Stars.
And if somebody walks and with how little the general public is allowed to interact or even look at the Elder Planets, the Elder Stars, the 5 stars, however you want to, the 5 old men, however you want to refer to them.
Please don't talk to them. No, they're not. They're not
utilizing-
old men, you know.
If they were old, they'd be special. But if somebody, it would be very difficult for somebody to disguise themselves as one of these men. So utilizing a disguise in order to infiltrate the deepest sanctum of the world government in order to achieve some end.
Who knows what?
Who knows what? But man, they took Caribou with them.
They did.
Gross.
But just to like bring it up again, like if it's Blackbeard and Shanks's like blood father or whatever, just a reminder that Blackbeard and Shanks like squared off against each other, and then after Shanks had won, he scarred Shanks's face. Like that was Blackbeard. Blackbeard did that, and so it's like the idea that like evil like life donor dad and Blackbeard, who has a vendetta against Shanks, like coming possibly into contact with each other is like a little worrying to me, especially if like
Molly doesn't want another one to die.
well, no, but it's just like there's a theming agent here that I'm like I can't place my finger on it, but it's like do we
Revolution?
know for a fact that Finnegarland like knows that Shanks is alive? Like, does he know?
Oh, I would think absolutely.
Oh,
Shanks has
100%.
been on the world stage several times and also like appeared in the inner sanctum with the 5 elders.
There's
so
no
like
way.
I think there's no way that he doesn't know. I don't think that he cares because
I think it just depends because like we also haven't gotten to a point where we've seen the colorization of him yet, and so like Shanks's mom might have had the red hair, not him. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he might not know, and like obviously like Shanks is probably not. I highly doubt they wrote Shanks on his diaper when Rogers found him in the treasure chest. Like, I'm sure that's a name that Rogers gave him. But yeah,
That little kid wouldn't stop stabbing people.
Yeah.
So going along with that too, if Figerland knows that or Garling, I guess, if Garling knows that Shanks is his son and Blackbeard is the one that scarred him, which disgust will end out? The fact that Shanks left the protection, like left the dragons, or something about Blackbeard's blood, which Saint Saturn mentions, and makes me think maybe Blackbeard's also a buccaneer. And so would it be the disgust of he's nothing, he's not a member of my family, I don't give a good goddamn, or Blackbeard showing up with his buccaneer blood, which makes me think like no matter what, Garling's a piece of garbage and we shouldn't care. Like we knew, but also like even more so, I don't, this dude on site. On site.
What I was like implying to was more of like, what if Blackbeard and that guy team up against Shanks? Does that make sense?
And that's what I'm saying is this is a guy who can probably smell the buccaneer blood on somebody. And so if Blackbeard's parentage,
This guy was the MC of the Native Extermination Festival. Like,
Man, I don't know if they're gonna do a double like, hey, this is this. I have a feeling that it's gonna be far more simple for Blackbeard. And like, not to say that it's not totally possible, but like the fact that they didn't give up the ghost here kind of feels like it's like bait. It's like, ooh, I want you to think this way, but it's going to be a misdirect. You know, one of those things where it's just like, I'm going to get you thinking on this train. So when I really reveal what Marshall D. Teach is lineage is, it'll be a surprise. That, or I don't actually know, but I want to tease that it's possibly important. Again, I want to heavily point out that there's a good part of me that believes Oda doesn't know half of the stuff that he says until he's said it twice. And then it's just like, okay, now I understand what I'm doing.
You know, it'd be messed up. I just had this thought. You know, it'd be messed up. What if Blackbeard is Roxas's son?
Possibly.
Because they both have D's in their name. It would work out timeline wise.
Yes, it would.
And we also haven't seen Rox yet.
And we don't know like what his motivations are aside from going to head against Rogers and.
Oh, can we talk about the Rocks Pirates for one more second?
Absolutely.
Did you catch what I caught? The little thing that I caught?
I don't know. What did you catch? Then I'll know if I got it or not.
So do you know who was talking to Stussy?
Whitebeard?
Gloriosa.
Yeah.
The old lady from frickin'
Yes. Yeah.
Frickin'
Yeah.
She's just like
The old Kuja lady.
The old Kuja lady is just hanging out here. So like we have 3 eras of
all the Kuja empresses
Kuja empresses.
awesome.
They're so like there is something there, and by like having every single one of them be important with like Shaki and Boa Hancock and Gloriosa, there's something more I feel like that needs to be said about the Kuja and like the Amazon Lily Island. There's something important there that is ultimately has not been discussed or talked about, because again, Rayleigh is also just like Rayleigh's there. Rayleigh hangs out in that area. Rayleigh's tied to Shaki in a lot of ways. It's like a lot of big people just kind of be like, hey, what's up? And it's like, just so happens to be this one island. It's never just so happens to be one island. It's always important. So like, I have a feeling that there's more to Amazon Lily than meets the eye.
I mean, it is one of the islands that lived outside the world government's like control for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a Void Century Island type thing or the whoever was the Empress at the time of the whatever the beginning of the Void Century is, much like that we find out about the Alabaster stuff. Like, might be more of that. Should we stop? We should stop hypothesizing and talk about.
I mean, we're just talking about like, hey, here's some little threads, and we're not.
But we haven't even got to the Sabo part, and we're almost an hour in.
The Sabo part? What did he do?
We already do this. We already do the
What
Sabo
did he
stuff.
do?
Which Sabo stuff?
Gaten's officially caught up now, right?
Yeah.
Which Sabo stuff?
The stuff with like the Elder Stars and.
We talked about that last time.
That was last
Well,
episode.
I want to talk about it again. No.
I wanted to, in order to get back to just generally, where does Kuma punching St. J. Garcia go on the list of best single punches in One Piece?
Oh, it's top 10. I'd say it's
10? To me, it's top 5.
I'd say it's top 10 because I need to like really sit down with the punches again. But it's easily top 10.
That might be a future thing for us, is like best single punches in One Piece.
We can definitely like.
We're doing listicles now.
I definitely feel like, and now we're talking about the show in the show. I definitely feel like top X kind of moments is one really fun, and they're really they're fun to write. In case you've never written one of those before, it's fun to get comments from people being just like, oh, you missed this one and blah blah blah. Especially if it's a dialogue rather than accusatory, because sometimes there's a lot of content in One Piece and in the in giant like world in general, so you're never going to be able to get everything. But it would be cool to like have that open discussion of like, here's our biggest moments. What are yours? So I think that we definitely should do that.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely top 10. Definitely top 10.
What a man.
Kuma
Hey.
is such a
Those
cool.
chapters got me.
Oh my
emotional.
god, I
Super,
freaking love
super emotional.
Kuma. Like
Papa.
I
Yeah.
feel like I've had this whole thing of just like I kind of like this dude. Like he's kind of a jerk, but like I kind of like this dude since the beginning.
He's a big teddy bear. Always
But he's
has been.
so cool, and he's been so cool this entire time. We
His
also
sail is his daughter's drawing. Like,
yes.
Yeah, that's pretty.
cute.
That's pretty based.
it's super based. This guy's awesome.
Man, the Bonnie finally coming out of the chamber after experiencing all of the memories and staring face to face, returning to her original age and just hugging and just that emotional release of I'm not mad at you, I'm not mad at him, I'm so happy I got to experience all of that. And the fact that I know now that he wrote me every single day.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just like and that one government nurse, I know we already talked about her a little bit, but like shot up to like top 10 villains of all
On site.
Immediately,
On site.
it's just awful person.
On
You're just
site.
a terrible human being. The Navy calls a buster call. Saturn and Kizaru will stay on the island to see it through. And we find out the final, something that we talked about in the last episode, is that whoever controls the pacifistas will have the ultimate advantage. And we find out that the final order is that Bonnie has ultimate control over any Kuma clone because Vegapunk didn't want any visage of Kuma to be responsible for the death of Bonnie, or Bonnie to not have to destroy any visage of Kuma. And it's like, man, Apple Gramps.
Based.
Thanks, Apple Gramps.
Based. Thanks, Apple Gramps. You dead bitch. But
Jesus.
He's
sorry.
a Tamagotchi now, probably.
He's
Probably.
also not dead.
Yet.
He's not dead. He's
Yeah.
not dead. You can't call
Okay,
him
all
a
right.
dead bitch until
Okay.
he's dead.
OG Apple Gramps. Not like the concept of Vegapunk, but OG Apple Gramps is probably 100% dead.
You don't know. No. You literally is escaping right now.
No,
Still
he's not.
alive.
Caden.
As of last. No,
Caden.
you can't say dead.
Do you know what a dead man's switch is? It is something
Yes.
that can only be activated when your heart rate stops.
So technically, it just needs to slow down to a certain point to feel like it has
Alright.
stopped. Okay, don't.
Man got-
I
man
need
got-
to see. Listen, when
man got
people die
stabbed.
in One Piece, it is absolutely 100% shown. It is narratively important to see it because
They
Oda
killed
has
him
made
twice,
a
bro.
We
standard.
see him murdered twice.
We see him get stabbed by a
he's still
poison spider
talking.
thing.
If he's still talking, he's not dead. Okay?
He is not- he
If
is
he's
not
still
talking.
He's
He's
not
recording.
dead.
He is not talking.
No. He was talking. Like, he
Caden.
was just like, "Don't move me, don't move me," and then
And then he
still,
stopped talking.
No,
And that's
he's-
when the thing turned on.
No. Listen, Sanji picked him up and he was still talking. Okay, listen. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's still not dead. Sanji would notice if he's dead, and we would see full well that Sanji would have been just like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna drop the body because this is dead weight. And just move on. He's not dead. He might die, but he is, as of now, not confirmed dead. And you cannot tell me he is confirmed dead. Dead man switch is not a freaking perfect science. And
I
Oda
just
has made a
An
point.
apple dead. He's dead. He's dead, Caden.
Listen,
Caden?
Oda has made a very important point to showcase when a prominent figure is dead. At this point, we have known Vegapunk to be this ultimate of things. He's not just gonna be like pew 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 and then just like, oh well, Sanji's running off with a dead body. It's not gonna happen. There's going to be, if he's going to die, he's going to die on screen and say one last important thing. As of now, I don't think he's dead. He's gonna say at least
Okay,
one
I
more
mean, so-
freaking thing.
so
He might
here's-
be
here's what-
dying, but he is
Caden.
not dead.
Caden, you just said, I don't think he's dead. And Al and I are saying, we think he's dead. And that's it. We're not disagreeing with you. We each have our own opinions about the matter. I think narratively, the amount that they were fixating on Lilith being the satellite to get them out, I feel like they're setting up Lilith to be the satellite that carries on the name Vegapunk. And because that was the first Vegapunk that we saw, that was the first satellite that we saw, I feel like they're setting it up to where Lilith is the one that's going to go out into the world. And I know we also have a couple of others. I know we've got Edison Still and Atlas, but
We have a couple, yes.
Technically York, but I don't think York's going to survive. But I feel like they're setting up Lilith to be the figurehead.
There is important information that the Stella still needs to give. Otherwise Sanji would have dropped the body. I'm gonna be real. Otherwise Sanji would have dropped the body. There's no reason.
They also wouldn't leave a dead body behind. They would go bury it. I don't think they're the type of people that would leave a dead body behind unless they were physically unable to.
I'd be more worried about leaving Vegapunk's body behind where the Elder Stars are. Like they've already implied that they do weird stuff.
I don't think Sanji's that smart to plan that ahead.
We talk about Sanji too much.
And also Luffy is definitely not that smart. So between the two of them, I don't think either of them are thinking, well, let's get this dead body away from these guys because they're going to experiment on him. Neither of them are thinking about that.
Baseline, just as a general statement, I never want to vouch for Sanji. I do want to say that in multiple arcs, Sanji has been the guy to do things like this, though. Like, leading up to Ina's lobby, he was the one who left the Denden Mushi. He was the one on the train already. Like, it's not uncommon for Sanji to do something like this, is all I'll say.
I guess.
But, yeah,
I do feel like the trigger to this message being like broadcast across the world is that like Vegapunk's pulse is now stopped. Like maybe Chopper can get it going again, but I do feel like Vegapunk is dead right now.
Or
Vegapunk is
the apple slice that is in the grandpa head.
Dead for now, not necessarily dead forever.
I think he's going to die, but he still needs to do something before he's dead.
Man, this guy got shot real hard. Hey,
he is not good. At the very least, he is dying.
He's in a bad way.
He's not coming out of this clean. Okay, he's not I'm not saying he's gonna survive this. I'm saying he's probably not dead yet.
Before we jump into sort of like the last couple of chapters, which is an insane thing to say, the giant pirates have made landfall and are just trying to get everybody out. I know I said this like before, is the fact that we saw Dorian Broggie on Elbaf with Shanks' story. The fact that we saw
they
them.
literally look like Al and Mark.
I can't tell between the four of you who's who.
and that's why they're always on screen together.
Yeah.
They're on screen together so that you don't have to. You could just say both of their names at the same time and it won't offend anybody.
I was already so emotional with like the Kuma stuff, and then seeing Usopp's reaction to them just was also like got me so emotional. Like how it's been like 800 chapters since he was like probably like 900 chapters since Usopp is like, my goal, my dream is to go to the island where my masters are and become a brave warrior of the sea.
And did you notice this wasn't in this thing of chapters, but when they decided the place where we can go that's closest where we could be safe is Elbaf, is Usopp and Luffy did the same dance that they did on God, what was the name of the island when they first met Dorian Broggie? They did the same dance that they did talking about we're gonna go to Elbaf, and it was just one of those little garden. And that was just like a weird thing of an immediate, a sense of memory came back of like, I've seen them do this before. You want to talk about an amplification of power of the fact that we went from Luffy not to say that they were having a problem, but seeing Zoro and Lucci face off and seeing Sanji and Kizaru face off, when previously it was a thing of like, no, it's Luffy or nothing, and they couldn't even take on Kizaru at the time. It's bizarre. It's so weird to be like, not only are these people back, but Luffy doesn't have to deal with them. Luffy has bigger fish to fry.
And like, Zoro is handling Rob Lucci. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Lucci he is leaky, very much so. And Zoro's like, well, when is this going to be over? Just sit down.
He's a.
Everyone's- Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he's a predator playing with his prey.
Everyone's reaction to the Elder Stars is very satisfying and validating. But like the fact that like even Rob Lucci doesn't know what these guys are supposed to look like is just like him being the reaction of him reacting is just
It's like, oh, this is my boss.
him just wide-eyed staring. Like I don't know if I've ever seen Rob Lucci emote before.
It's
Still
kind of like realizing, are we the baddies?
Yeah.
So, I mean, so let's talk about that. So Vegapunk's failsafe goes off, and instead of just spilling the true nature of the world, which was a hell of a chapter a couple weeks to be like we had serious talks in spoiler chat of like, this might be the place where Caden catches up to, because I think next week is gonna go absolutely insane. But them being like, you know what, let's give people a chance to like get a drink, you know, set up the dinner, like whatever. Let's give them 10 minutes. And so Vegapunk and the satellites are just BSing, talking about whatever. And every once in a while we would check in and be like, all right, I've made my coffee. How much time has that been? Like, that's so
It's like
Oda.
that time before stream when one of us is like not there yet. It's like, oh, let's vamp for like 8 minutes.
I'm just vamping. But that was enough for the rest of the Elder Planets to make landfall. And you want to talk about another panel to be like, oh my god, we're getting to the end. We're getting to the end. Oh my
I
god.
thought we were at least like a year or more away from something like this, but it's happening right now. Like,
one of my favorite things was the listing of all of the different like yokai and other monsters that they were. So we got the official name drops. We got the Gyuki, the Itsumade, the Hoki, the Bakotsu, and the Sandworm.
the sandworm.
They're all stinky. They're all
The
Super
worm.
sticky, but just like these badass Japanese yokai, and then the Sandworm.
I feel like Oda saw Dune 2 and was like, you
Absolutely.
know what this guy needs to be?
well, like
He got the
worm is-
popcorn bucket and he goes, I understand the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the worm they mean is like the dragon worm, which
Yes,
is just
it is a worm
dragon
as in
without
as
wings
a,
and
the
limbs.
dragon worm.
But it's drawn more like a big whale worm, which is
It's
adorable and terrifying.
I like the designs. I hate them.
Absolutely. It's like these are really badass and really terrifying. I hate every single thing, but man, this is cool. Like they all get summoned by like demonic seals, and it's just like they're oozing with dark energy, and it's like if you didn't know these were like the biggest of the big bads.
They all have those
also-
celestial scarves. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you caught it too, but they have some type of telepathy where they can talk to each other. Because before they made landfall, they were asking Saturn, like, "Do you need us? Like, should we come?" And he wasn't
I'll
holding a
make the
Dendan Mushi.
preparations.
It was just the text. Yeah, so it's like they have some ability to talk to each other with like certain means of communication, which is sus as AF.
Just like Karen's. at
they're in each
Starbucks.
other's DMs.
Jesus.
It's just like
That?
it's not even that they're powerful. It's that like I could fly and also use my mind to blow you up with a laser. It's like they're already so overpowered, and it's just like, what's their deal?
They have powers
Like-
beyond what we are familiar with in the world of One Piece. which
Like, what's
is
their
scary.
deal? Are they all like actually 80 years old, or are they
You just gave
immortal?
me a theory. Well,
'Cause
I
it's
mean,
like-
Luffy says these guys can't die.
Yeah,
We gotta go.
We gotta go. They can't die.
yeah. So then even then, it's like. So these guys have been around maybe since they're the guys who are gatekeeping the Void Century. They were there.
That's
They
what
were-
it seems like.
They were there when the Tamagotchis and the Pokemon cards and the jelly sandals were a thing. All right.
I need to write down this.
They
theory before I
captured all the
forget.
cards.
Mars, Saint Mars, like you mentioned, going up to Lucci and being like, "What's the sitch?" And Lucci just giving all of the information, being like, "Please save my friend." And Mars being like, I don't think I can single out a single insect when exterminating the
LOL.
hive. Just like,
LOL.
ooh, are we gonna get good enough Guy Lucci?
I don't know.
Good enough guy.
Because he's not a good guy.
No.
He gets participation award, I guess.
Participation award.
Yeah. Hey, anybody notice how Dorian Broggie had no problem holding off the yokai with just their shields?
Yes.
Oh yeah, easy peasy.
Also, simultaneously attacking, like working together. It's just great.
Hopefully
So-
they've got some sea stone in those shields.
There's something about giant culture, man, because that was another thing said, and
It's
again,
a big deal.
all right. Damn, that was so good. Just hearing how they were describing, they're being described like, oh, giants are here. Giants have something else to do with this Void Century, man. Like, and the fact that the military was
You
trying
think?
to, well, yes, but
the
also like.
giant armor robot that jumps up and is like, "Joy boy, forgive
he's
me."
bigger than the giants
He's
themselves.
bigger than the giant.
So it's the thing of how much does giant society have to do with Joy Boy? Because we've got a lot of people, we've got different societies. We've gotten the Buccaneers and the Giants being like, "Yo, Joy Boy flipping rules," and
Wars too.
yeah, and Oars as well. But the fact that the military is trying to indoctrinate giant culture with Oimo and the other guy's name who I totally forget. But there's gonna be such a big, like, we've been getting so many lore drops, but there's gonna be even more, and like when all of the One Piece information is laid bare, the world is gonna be so different.
You mean Late Kuma?
Also, just like in terms of like the giant culture, like this is something that like Big Mom had been striving to get in her family for the longest time too. So like there's clearly something there.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's different pantheons of gods, you know, like if you go to Norse has its own pantheon of gods, there could be something from the celestial dragons that is based on I mean, we've got demons, straight up demons here. And like, this is,
I
man,
don't want religion in my One Piece.
I don't, bad
That's more
news,
likely than
fam.
you think. You're the one who brought up the lion and lamb thing last episode.
Yeah,
did.
because
Which blew so many people's minds.
want it. I don't like that.
I brought it up to excommunicate it.
Yeah, I brought it up so we'd never talk about it again.
Nobody talk about it.
Don't
Never talk about it ever again.
No, I don't like it.
Okay, all right.
So we sped through everything. I say sped, looking at the clock, but I wanted to. Were there moments that you wanted to go back to and dwell on a little bit more?
Can we talk about Nika powers?
Absolutely. Oh,
Nika
can we
is brought
please?
up so much, and we didn't talk about Nika once.
We also haven't talked about Bonnie's distorted future power, which flippin' rules and is so
yeah,
cool,
like-
and I love it.
Bonnie's whole power isn't a devil fruit. She's infused with a devil fruit, and it only works based on her perception of the future and reality. And when a finality is in front of her, it stops working, which is
That was really sad.
messed up.
Yeah. But yes, Al, we can absolutely talk about Joy Boy powers.
I liked when Luffy synced. He was like 1, 2, 3, and then clapped his hands, and he flattened Saturn and
That was
God, that
The
was so
symbol,
good.
yeah.
Kizaru, yeah.
or Kizaru, sorry.
being able to on command make the entire island rubber. So whenever Joy Boy is doing anything, all the buildings are just drawn in random perspectives because the ground is wobbling. He rips a palm tree out of the ground, takes the time to carve it and paint it into a baseball bat, and then pulls a helmet out of nowhere because, he doesn't have time to carve that.
No.
And then hits a bunch of spitballs. He doesn't know what they do. They fly back and explode. Like It is literally Looney Tune powers, and I am here for it, and I love it so much.
It's so good.
So good. So good.
Him getting hit by like a wave of power and like him be like, ah, and then like all of his features getting blown off as like Dory or Broggy is like in the background,
Shocked,
really
looking
up
at his
close.
eyeballs.
Yeah, and I love that like even his scar like gets ripped off and he's got to put it back on like a sticker.
Every time a new thing comes up with the Nika powers, I can't wait. It's like, oh man, I can't wait to see this animated. This is gonna be the best.
Like
Yeah.
it's basically like the anime and the manga are daring each other every new chapter and episode. Like it's okay, we'll try and make that fill in a whole episode, and they're like, okay, damn.
It's the freelance thing of like, what's your budget? All right, bet.
I also like the moment where Bonnie tried to do exactly what Luffy does, because she can morph her body. Like, we've learned that she can do more than just age de-age. Like, she fundamentally can change her entire body structure to be more muscular, or to be like more stretchy, and so on. She
does a Kong punch.
She does. She doesn't do it right, and she's just like, it didn't work.
does
I
it
tried
in
to
her
do it
own
like
way.
you. I tried to do it like you, but it's not working. It's just like, oh, well, cool. Don't worry about it. I'll teach you how to do it. This is like, watch. School is in session. And then he does it. It's just like, is he going to teach her? Is like, he going to like pass on information about how to fight to Bonnie? Because that would be rad.
Yes.
The whole interaction of Luffy being like, yo, Bonnie, why are you crying? And her being like, I've been looking for you, you idiot. And he's like, what? I've been here this whole time. It's just like that. It was like a good setup as Roger, or not Roger, excuse me, Oda did it, of like, we saw her whole past and then her now reacting to seeing Luffy. It's just like, because that hurt. Or it's like, I know what both of them are saying to each other. Like, I see it on both sides, but like knowing how, like for Bonnie, that it's like, I have actually been looking for Nika. I've been looking for you this whole time. My papa was right.
Yeah, man, Kuma's such a good guy.
I miss him.
And like the fact that he still exists, the kill switch isn't in there, and he can express himself, just not verbally. It'll be interesting to see if he makes it off of the island alive.
I think he has
Can
to.
you calm down? Can you
I
chill
think he has to. I think he has to, and also shut up, Mark.
What's your problem? What is your problem?
Why you gotta be like that?
Yeah, dude,
I'm
what is
saying,
up?
I
Why?
hope that he gets off the island alive.
Mark just being
good?
like, man, a lot of people are dying here. That old man's dead. All your favorites are dead. Everybody, that's my shtick. Why are
KDIN
you stealing
confirmed.
my bit?
Look, your your bit was the not cut up one, and now that you're not that anymore, we're all switching.
Okay, all right. I guess we all get to be different people. Now who's going to be the wild theorist? Is it going to be Al?
The wild theorist.
Wow. Theorist. Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
my theories are definitely wild. Are they right?
I don't know.
Time
He'll
will
never
tell.
tell. He'll never tell. Never tell. Yeah.
I love you guys.
I'm still thinking about Rox could be excuse me, not Rox, that Blackbeard could be Rox's son. 'Cause
Yeah.
The thing he says to Luffy is, a man's dream never dies. And I'm like, what if he's just picking up his dad's dream? Ugh.
What if he's keeping his dad in the void?
I don't know, dude. We don't even know anything about Rox either.
There's some wild Blackbeard theories, like absolute insano stuff that people are like, yeah, but what about this? And what about this?
It's so amorphous, and we still don't know anything. Like almost
Maybe-
like a void.
Maybe part of the next port predictions will be like us going through popular One Piece theories.
Hey, can I put something out there? Because I just want to be contrarian just a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So they put out, so they like, while the plan is put out there, it's like, hey, here's the plan. We decided we're going to help you escape. Here's the goal. We need to get to the Elbaf ship, right? Right? We're trying to get to the Elbaf ship.
Well, not necessarily.
Luffy's group, Bonnie's group, Elbaf ship, Sanji and Vegapunk. Yes, they put X's over his eyes and everything like that, but they made a point to write Vegapunk is there, and also Nami and Usopp's group being up at the top.
His body is there.
Listen.
Yes.
Shut up.
You
Oh,
first.
okay.
All right. Okay.
I do think that there's like so much to be. We really need to learn more about these giants. Like, they just kind of stood there, like while Luffy got hit by like the big blast of like rah, like the blast of hockey.
They tanked it.
They just were just like, whoa, what's up with you with your cartoon antics? They didn't move.
They're standing
They
in the
didn't
middle of a
move.
Buster call going, like,
Cool move, bro.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta cry, or sometimes you gotta laugh to stop yourself from crying. But
And like the boar just being like, what do you think is tying you together? What's destiny thing? Who do you think? Do you have any idea who this man is? I was like, yeah, he's our friend.
He's our friend.
Dude,
he's our little
like,
buddy.
The fact that so many people around Luffy don't care about what Luffy has to offer them, except for friendship, is so cool. Like, I know it's such a trope and everything like that, but the way that it's pieced together is so fundamentally, and I'm going to say this in the most important ways I could possibly say, it's not put together like, oh, the bonds that are talked about in Bleach, or the bonds that are talked about in Dragon Ball, or the bonds that are talked about in like Naruto. Like, these bonds are not like, well, like Sasuke and Naruto, they kind of hate each other forever, and then somehow they're just like, well, you're part of the crew. It's like, dude, he's always hated you and you've always hated him.
Invisible hands.
Somehow they like have a bond, I guess, through all the other stuff. No. This is like legit. Like, I'm not saying that the other stuff is bad, and it's not. But this is what I'm looking for when I hear the anime friendship bull shenanigans. This is what I want. I don't want the Yu-Gi-Oh! We're putting our hands all together before Yugi goes to face off against Seto Kaiba. Yugi's gonna win because he has an ancient like pharaoh who basically cheats for him. That's gonna make him win. Okay, it's not friendship. Your friendship does nothing in
his way to
Yu-Gi-Oh.
the top.
It's not Heart of the Cards. Okay, the ancient spirit that lives inside the little 14-year-old boy is going to cheat for him. It's not friendship, Joey. Sit down. This is friendship. Like, this is people allying with each other and showing like their resolve. That's what they mean by anime friendship stuff. This is it. Don't draw on your hand with a permanent marker and be just like, and we're gonna save Yugi's grandpa. And then they kind of forget about it halfway through, and then they fry up candy bars. It's like, no, shut up.
Dibs on the candy bars.
Dibs on the chips.
I agree. I also like the nature of I like the nature of the boar being like, what part of destiny ties you together? It's like, he's my friend, and then that split second where the next panel would be, wait, what do you mean? And then the other party being like, what do you mean?
It's like, what's up?
Wait a minute, what do you mean by that? Why?
Also, they straight
there a
up just
reason?
deck him. Like, they just they
shield
bonk him
bash
with
him.
their shields, and that's it. It's like, and he falls over. These giant, like specifically Dory and Brogy, they are so much stronger than I really would have realized.
No hockey. This is something that I noticed, is they straight up took it and shield bashed no hockey and sent this dude flying.
This feels like oh, well, you're using all of this magic and blah, blah, blah to protect yourself against other people who can use this types of magic. But how about a good old fashioned, I have a baseball bat? That's it.
Also, shout out to Luffy for putting his branding in there. Number 56.
oh
Also,
yeah,
Classic.
Speaking of hidden things, the Skyla thing that they did
Skilda.
is apparently from Old Norse, and it means obligation or duty. which is interesting.
What did they
Interesting.
know? Man, it's the weird thing of like, at what point during getting ready for Vegapunk's speech are they all going to be on the island? Actually, you know what would be really funny is if they get off the island by the time Vegapunk's speech goes off and they don't hear what happened, like what Vegapunk says. So whenever they're walking into the next situation against these foes, it's just like, well, yeah, you pissed us off, or we're gonna beat you up. Not
They
for any
do
of
have-
those reasons.
They do have a Dendenmushi on the ship, but that would
True.
be funny.
Yeah, I think regardless,
Also, Luffy
isn't
would
gonna
definitely be
listen.
the one to be just like, turn it off. I don't want spoilers.
Or he'd just throw it off the ship.
Also,
I feel like they're gonna get away, and it's gonna play as they get there, and then they're gonna get to Elbaf, and then it's gonna be a like, okay, so here's what we just learned. Here's some more information, and also Saul is alive. Like, here are the books from O'Hara, or from.
Actually, I
Yeah.
think that would be a better way. That would be a more constructive way to do it. Is instead of the crew learning about it from Vegapunk, they learn about it from Saul, and so it's a
Yeah.
much more direct thing of like, here's what you need to know. The world knows a general story of what Vegapunk told, but
I mean,
Saul
and
is
that's
gonna tell you.
assuming that the message gets out. Like, they're putting a lot of it, like, emphasis on, like, we have a couple more minutes, and it's like, where's the recording? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they foil that. I wouldn't be surprised.
We don't know. We'll never know. And I wonder
There's
if
a contingency.
we'll never
for
know
the
unless we
contingency.
do.
Exactly.
Unless the next chapter will tell us.
or if but we won't know for a couple of weeks. Welcome to Week, Caden.
Okay, that's fine.
you
I
made
can read
it.
other things.
I wonder
You guys
if the
just reading
recordings exist in the satellites. Like, not only of them being there during the recording, but if Vegapunk implanted the recording in other satellites. So that,
Also, like, don't they just know?
unless their data was reworked,
But again, to your point, Dead Man's Switch.
it could be in there.
I think it's also, like, we're assuming that all of the Vegapunks are going to get off the island. Like,
Most of them
there's-
are. Well, a couple of them have
dead.
already kind of like
They're
taken
already
some
being hunted
hits.
down. They're already
And
being
dead.
hunted down, so...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
mean, and we'll see if like Chopper can fix them up, or if it's more of a Frankie thing, etc., etc. But
I mean, we got two people specifically good for fixing stuff. People and
we've-
robots, and these are people robots.
it just
Atlas-
depends on if they have time to fix them, though, because they're already like under siege right now.
Atlas,
Yeah, but-
Lilith, and
but,
Pythagoras are in. Not Pythagoras. Was it Pythagoras? The little robot, not big robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those three are in the most prime position to escape. I don't think York is escaping.
York is face to face with St. Mars, right?
Yeah. Also,
Yes.
York is
Making
a part
a
of
Wallace and Gromit face.
also, again, York is a part of the bad guys. Let's just remember that York
Yeah.
is a part of the bad guys.
I feel like he's gonna be like, "Oh, here you are, York," and then kill her to be like, "All right, like good, somebody who was trying to
Contingency plan.
rebel." Yeah. I think it's that. I think he's about to kill her, like verbatim.
Well, didn't they just? They kind of like said that though. They said that it's like, hey, can you make sure that like, hey, like my partner is in the control room. He was injured. You know, can you find a way to spare him? It's just like, I don't know, man. Like, it's like
He said no. He said straight up no.
No,
Let
he
me
didn't.
go
He
kill
didn't.
them first. Is
He
sort of
didn't
what
say
I think
straight
is
up no. What he said was that might not be possible. It is hard to single out a lone insect when you're exterminating the hive. He
Yeah, that's what
never
I said
said
earlier.
no. He just said, well, sounds like you're a bitch. And that's it.
Sounds like you told me where they are so that I can make sure to kill them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like this is a case.
Look,
like I don't necessarily think that they're gonna die though. Like I don't necessarily
The
think
island
that
is getting Buster called.
think
Anybody?
Cop
York is-
Usopp is
York
probably.
is-
I don't know if Cop Usopp's gonna die though.
To be fair, though, Buster calls are remarkably survivable for the Straw Hats.
Yeah.
True.
But
Yeah.
like,
Also,
I
Dory
do
and
feel
Brogy are
like-
just like, what if we just breathe hard against it and then just make it say no? What if we just say no respectfully?
I do feel like York is gonna die. Like I feel like the next chapter it's gonna be like, oh man, well thank you for like letting us know that Vegapunk was doing shady stuff. Anyway, Squash.
Truly. Like, I wonder how many punches Robin has left on her Buster Call punch card before she gets like a free sandwich.
She's literally the one who has survived the most Buster Calls.
3. It'll
in
be 3
the
at this point.
history of One Piece. She's got 3 under her belt. She
But,
needs to get 10 to get the free sub sandwich, though.
That's insane.
That's a
Impossible.
I mean, that's
I'm
where
just
they
saying,
get you.
in the sense of the government mandate on Buster Calls is anybody associated with a Buster Call of an island that is trying to be eradicated from history. If you survive that, you are forever wanted, sort of a thing. And so that's really all that I'm saying. It's not just, oh, you can survive it, but, hopefully the government as we see it now is going to be changing within the near future. Decide if I'm talking about One Piece or not. And with that, the survivability and people being put on wanted lists will definitely change. And so how long this happen, like how long this still remains to happen is yet to be seen. But if the 5 elder planets have touched down on Egghead, their plan will be, we have to eradicate this filth in order to stay cool with the king. And if somebody comes face to face with until you no longer fulfill a certain use, I feel like they think Lucci is a good soldier, but for how long we'll see. But if you are injured or dying or whatever, if you are in the way, you will be put out of the way. There's a lot of death is still yet to happen, is still yet to occur on Egghead. Ugh. Man, One Piece was good this week.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Me too.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Damn.
Also, that like old Stussy and Marco could be en route right now. I don't want them to be
and
on
Weevil.
the island that's about to explode. No, Weevil's in jail.
Oh, that's right. And that's right.
And that's why Stussy's like, I'll get you to get involved. Vegapunk will confirm the DNA of my son and blah, blah, blah.
They might reconnoiter on Elbaf.
I don't want Marco anywhere near the island that's about to explode.
Yeah, no, I think Marco is smart enough to be like, they would probably run to Elbaf. We'll be safe there.
Well, I don't even know about that, but it's like the nice part is that this all seems very public at the moment, like on the news. So if like they're reporting like the Straw Hats are like cornered on Vegapunk Island, like at least they know like stuff's going on there.
It's being broadcast on all channels everywhere.
But
Right.
also the newspaper in the last 3 days like has been reporting on it, like the Emperor Luffy and Vegapunk team up or blah blah blah. So at least like the world is aware of what's going on. Because I think Vivi's been the one who's been like, Luffy would never do that, or like it's like she's like been yelling at the newspaper.
I can't wait for Vivi to punch somebody.
I can't wait for Vivi to join the crew again.
Dude,
Back on the
I've
ship.
said it before and I've said it again. This roll-up for the final battle is going to be so good.
I almost want it to be an entire chapter of just roll.
Yeah.
I want it an entire chapter of double-page spreads.
It's gonna be there when they get to it in the anime. It's just gonna be the scene in Endgame where it's like Avengers, and it's like everyone's popping out of portals.
On your left.
Yeah, everybody,
Also on your left.
everybody
gonna
in the
take
theater.
A bit further to your left.
On your port, on your starboard.
Yeah,
There's so many.
Sandworm.
it's gonna be wild.
Does anybody have any final things that they wanted to talk about before we wrap up?
Probably, but I just can't think of it right now.
Save.
I think we'll see the
What a
Kung Fu Dugongs
Molly,
again.
what a vibe.
I always have something on the brain. Katie will come to realize that.
We
when
got
she has to
Marco
look-
in.
Yeah.
Molly doesn't want a Marco anywhere near this, so we're not talking about Marco today.
Well, we
Marco
did.
can show up at Albaf and we'd be cool, but I don't want Marco to be like, "What's up, gang?" as the Buster Call like hits the island. Not like this. Oh, to survive Wano, only to get obliterated at Vegapunk would.
Hey, how's everybody? Oh no.
I would go to Japan and find Oda.
Just text him.
Yeah. He knows what he did.
I mean, the biggest thing I kind of want to like point out is we did it.
Yay!
We're here.
Woohoo!
We're
Kane,
absolutely
you did it.
here.
Kane, you did it.
Despite our best efforts, you did it.
We slowed
unstoppable.
you down for 3 years.
How does
2
it feel
years,
to
3
have
years?
finally consumed so much One Piece?
It's I honestly, part of me is just like, all right, now what? Now what do we do? Like,
Exactly.
I
That's
caught
why
up.
we were
I
like,
caught up
slow
on the
down.
Well, I caught up on the thing that everybody's like, oh, it's so long. It takes forever to blah blah blah. Okay, yeah. I did it. I could have done it way faster too. So if I can do it, and I was forced to go slow, you can absolutely catch up on One Piece. There's nothing
Yeah.
stopping you other than the fact that you're probably stopping yourself. It's like, well, it's a lot. It's like, it's not that much. It really isn't.
Again,
It's
I read it
something-
twice every year, so think about that.
It's one of those things that if you want to this is a testament to literally the concept of if you want to do something, start now. Whatever it is, just start. It may take you a year. It may take you 2. It may take you 3. It may take you a month. You don't know how long it's going to take
God, I
you
feel so sorry if
until
it took
you
you a month.
start. So like, I mean, what, like, I guess my question is, what do I do in the meantime between like reading all this stuff? And it's like, well, I have all these other series that I read. So like, if you're just reading one thing, then like, come on, you gotta diversify your portfolio a
Absolutely.
little bit. So I'm probably gonna like pick up one of the many other series that I've been wanting to read, or taking suggestions from people in Discord or in the haha comments of things like our channel on YouTube or on our Twitch channel, or maybe people can say, hey, here's these things. Maybe you guys can do one-offs on like, hey, try a couple chapters of this manga or this anime to do little one-offs while waiting for things on One Piece. And it's like, well, that would be great if you would suggest them or leave reviews or comments and stuff like that, because we're always listening.
She's good. She's really good.
Thanks.
Oh, we knew that. We knew that for the longest time.
I
Kate,
mean,
you're
yeah,
great.
but like, it's
I'm a genius.
it's nice.
Oh no.
I appreciate it. The thing is I appreciate it. It's nice to get that kind of feedback, and it's nice to grow with all of you. And I'll be honest, for the longest time, and I think I talked about this, catching up was the scariest thing. Like catching up was the goal, but it's also the scariest thing, because it's like, what happens when we catch up? Like, is it over? Are we done? Like, do we shut down the whole thing when the show's over? Like, what happens to everything? And that was my first initial fear. And it's one of those like weird little fears in the back of your mind. But like, we have become so close in the last couple years, not just through the podcast or enjoying something together or hanging out and streaming and being, content creators. Hate that term.
Ew.
Hate it.
No.
Gross.
But like, we've like, as much as like the stuff the Straw Hats have gone through and grown with and with each other and experience and everything like that, I feel like we've gone through a significant amount of our own like big character moments in the last like couple years, and having each other's backs, holding each other accountable, having each other like being able to like have like real talks about all these things. You guys have made my life better by being in it. And I hope that is reciprocated. And I also hope that we get to continue doing this for as long as we possibly can.
We're Nakama.
So, absolutely. I would 100% agree with the sentiment of
The Cryborg.
you think you have nothing, but there is one thing you have, and that's your crew. And I absolutely agree, Caden. We came further together in the pandemic, doing a part when nobody knew what the hell was going on. Nobody knew what was for certain. Nobody knew what was going to be next. We were all week to week when it came to the pandemic.
No kidding.
Yeah, seriously, that's too real. Sorry.
This week really sucked.
But there's something that stuck with me from years ago of like, as podcasting was like podcasting was a thing for a while, but as it was really starting to blossom into a creative outlet, or an outlet at the very least. Kevin Smith said, if life's worth living, it's worth recording. And there's some things where I like to live in the moment a lot. I don't like to take a lot of pictures sometimes. I like to take one picture and then enjoy. And if moments arise, take more. But when it comes to this show, I think more so than documenting KDIN's catching up with this series, I think it's you can see our friendship and connection grow and flower and really come into something that I hold very close to my heart personally. I love y'all.
Love you too.
Love you too.
God damn it.
Can't wait to take a photo of us in our big sippies.
Our big
yeah.
boysenberry sippies.
And a napkin with Al's face drawn on it.
It's like I was there.
And stained with boysenberry jam.
Aw, hungry. He's a hungry guy.
He's a hungry boy.
Hungry boy.
Now,
Are you going to airplane feed the napkin
He's a hungry
boys and
berry.
berries?
we'll send it to you. Hopefully it'll make
Airplane
it.
feeding.
So who knows what will happen when our anniversary drops next week? No one will know. Hey, but until then, let's share with the folks where you can find us across the internet. Let's start with the wild theorist, KDIN Jensen.
You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet. KDIN Jensen, pretty much everywhere. Mostly Twitch and Tumblr and Blue Sky. That's where I generally hang out. I'm a VTuber. I stream very regularly. I do have a VOD channel for my streams now, so you can just go there and watch them in perpetuity. And you can find me on TikTok and Instagram. TikTok is real KDIN Jensen or KDIN VT. Instagram KDIN Jensen. It's just like you'll find me. If you look for KDIN Jensen on social media, it's generally me.
Sometimes you have to put a "the" in front if somebody steals your name. Al, what about you?
You can find me basically everywhere at Al McClellan Jr. That's ALMCCLELLANDJR. Good luck.
And you can find me everywhere at Mark B. Donica. If I post something, it'll probably be an Insta story. So I guess Instagram would probably be the best place if you want to keep an eye on the dumb stuff that's happening in my life or the fun stuff that's happening in my life. It's not all dumb. How about you, Cap'n?
You can't find me.
Got him.
Can't be
I've
done.
disappeared.
Listen, if I've said it once, I'll say it again. Don't look for me.
Sometimes I forget that you guys can't see me when we do these, and I looked up at Discord and I was doing the peace sign, like I was fading away. You could find me on Blue Sky, Molly Flood. You can find me on Tumblr at Molly Flood, Molly K Flood, depending on what you're looking for, art or memes. We have a Yayo Talk Show Tumblr. Come follow us on there for the most up-to-date One Piece fan art now.
Yeah,
now
baby.
I can unleash every spoiler demand. And now I am also streaming on Twitch, so you can follow me at Molly Flood on Twitch for art streams, video game streams, possibly crocheting streams, but that's where you can find me. If you have to find me, that's where you can find me.
At least you're giving them the option of, hey, look, if you need me, you can find me.
You don't have to, but I'm there.
Please don't, but this is where I'll be.
Please.
Please leave me be.
Please, just tuck me in. Just tuck me in and leave me alone.
Going along with how most arcs and sagas have ended, now that you've listened to the episode, you've joined our grand fleet. With that comes the responsibility of telling your friends, leaving a comment, following us all over social media at Yayo Talk Show, and letting the entirety of the Chrono Pirates watch this show, read this comic in one piece. So come aboard, and we'll see you for whatever's next on Yayo Talk Show.
Talking about One Piece.